Good day to everyone. I am Kugen Sukumaran, metric number 267607. Today I am going to present about Case 5, Tax for the CFO, Should Pfizer Acquire Allegan? Now, let us look at the executive summary. Alright, this case involves two parties. The first party is Pfizer Incorporation. Founded in New York in 1849, Pfizer began in a pharmaceutical business with a candid treatment for an intestinal illness common in that period. By 2014, become a Fortune 100 companies with 78,000 employees and almost 50 billion US dollar in annual revenues and a footprint in over 100 countries. Furthermore, Pfizer business now included medication including Viagra, the pain drug Lyrica, and Prifna, a pneumococcal vaccine. Besides, Pfizer vision for the future was comprehensive through working in a partnership with everyone, with patient to healthcare providers, and managed care organization to world government and non-governmental organizations. Moreover, Pfizer goal is to ensure that people everywhere have access to innovate treatment and quality healthcare. Besides, in 2014, Pfizer had failure in attempt to acquire AstraZeneca, which would have lower Pfizer tax rate considerably, but that deal was ultimately undone by resistance from AstraZeneca's senior leadership and political protectionism in United Kingdom. Okay, another party was Allegan. Allegan was formed in 2013 in merger of two larger pharmaceutical companies, namely Actavis Incorporation and Warner Chillot PLC. Although Allegan's operations were larger, where 21,000 employees, 13.1 billion revenue in 2014 and commercial footprint in over 60 countries, they're still considerably smaller than Pfizer. Besides, Allegan was legally domiciled in Ireland, where it kept a small office but maintained headquarters in New Jersey, less than 50 miles from Pfizer corporate headquarters. Furthermore, Allegan's portfolio of pharma business and product included brands such as Botox and the Alzheimer's drugs Namenda. Besides, Allegan had focused in strategy on fast-growing brands that would eat top-line growth in future years. These properties mapped well into growth pharma strategy of Allegan's Chief Executive Officer, Brand Saunders, whereby Allegan's targeted rapidly growing pharma and pharma tech brand. Next, we move on to the issues of this case. Alright, the first issue is, should Pfizer take decision to merger with Allegan or stop? It is important that DMLO consider the following risk when he is going to make his decision. The deal will impact the tax collection in the US Department of Treasury, could plan to alter the rules related to inversion. The United States Treasury could complain about deals that reduce taxes in this way, known as inversion. The controversy could delay the transaction. A bigger danger in that lawmakers pursue broader changes in the rule so as to help American companies compete. That means Pfizer risk paying up for a fleeting benefit. The uncertainty of the context may affect tax rate and the possibility of tax inversion. The integration risk after the merger, both companies are big pharmaceutical companies. The deal involves post-merger integration risk, where Allegan has over 26,000 employees and Pfizer has over 78,000 employees. Also, the company will have multiple products and location. It will be difficult to integrate the department and affect the gross margin sustainability. Besides, the second issue is, why Pfizer seeking a merger? Does Allegan fits Pfizer's need? How does tax inversion works? Basically, tax inversion are transactions used by a company, in our case is Pfizer, whereby it becomes subsidiary of a new parent company like Allegan in another country for the purpose of falling under beneficial tax law. Typically are used in US company to move to lower tax domiciles. Technically, any company could make an inversion, but the long-term goals of public companies are different than private companies. While both seeking increase shareholders' value, a private company owner must be mainly interested of profit repatriation and potential business exit strategies. These problems are not as important to public companies that can exist in perpetuity, even if a transaction is structured in a way to gain cash overseas. That cash would eventually be affected on taxes, where repatriated to its US owners. If an exit strategy involves liquidating, distribution of, or a sale of another company, those gains will still be affected in US taxes in the majority of cases. Okay, all right. The third issue is, are tax invasion or transfer pricing unethical? Why and why not? The problem with this kind of tax inversion and transfer pricing is lack of social responsibility. That is a relevant moral consideration that the company have to consider when they are doing business. In ideal world, companies should act on their ethical and social responsibility, which included to support the community where they primarily operate. The need to be a good corporate citizen in the regard, this kind of ethical could give a bad message to pharma business, expending more energy and reducing their tax liability than the social good and undoubtedly deliver. However, apart that politician and the public create a negative opinion of inversion, stating that inversion are unethical and leave the rest of country with the US tax burden. These companies are in business to make money and compete. As the global continues to occur, these corporations need to be able to compete internationally. Inversion are method to help corporation to stay competitive. So it is ethical action in the course of business. Now, let us look on the alternatives to this case. Alright, there are two alternatives. First of all, we look at the first alternative, where Pfizer proceeds merger with Allegan, because both companies are top performer in the market, Fortune 100 companies, and thus strong market leadership. Besides, Pfizer and Allegan both have high brand recognition. Furthermore, Pfizer provides quality healthcare and innovative treatments. By merging with Allegan, Pfizer would able to save tax on international revenue, which is majority of their revenue, and they can use this money towards other users. Furthermore, by merging with Allegan, would also support Pfizer in keeping up the pace with other pharmaceutical industries, as there would be combined merger revenue and profits. Okay, now the second alternative, where Pfizer stopped merging with Allegan because time and resources had already been invested and wasted in 2014, where Pfizer failed to attempt to acquire AstraZeneca, and now they must make a wiser decision regarding whether they should merge with Allegan or not. Besides, Pfizer is currently facing a reduction in their net income and total assets from 2012 to 2014. Many companies, including worldwide and domestics, if the merger with Allegan turns out to be an unwise decision, it can result in damage not only to their finance and net income, but also to their high brand recognition. Furthermore, uh, the changes in tax rule may thwart plans for merger. Alright, the recommendation is Pfizer should proceed merger with Allegan. Okay, next part we will see why and what are the benefits will get to Pfizer if they proceed merger with Allegan. Alright, the first reason why Pfizer should merge with Allegan was the revenue and profit of Pfizer will increases. Because Pfizer need a big move because of its revenue had declined over the last 3 years. the stock price had relatively flat and the investor were growing less restless. Therefore, D'Amelio needed a deal that would improve the company's financial performance and competition position among the other global pharmaceutical giants. Besides, Pfizer would also obtain all the Allegan futures revenue and profits. The combined revenue and profit of the merged company were expected to total of 68 billion and 21 billion respectively. Thus, the merger would help Pfizer keep up with the larger player in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Besides, tax revenue have increased so that higher corporate profit will result in higher corporate tax revenues. Furthermore, this allows the government to spend more money on public services like healthcare, education, wealth and welfare payment. As a result, an increase in company profit benefit the general taxpayer indirectly. The second reason is because of the tax saving. Pfizer's income tax saving were estimated to be 1.4 billion in the first year following the merger, increasingly to 2 billion by the third year. Furthermore, Pfizer would also obtain all the Allegan's future revenue and profit. The combined revenue and profit of the merged company were expected to be 68 billion and 21 billion respectively. Thus, the merger would help Pfizer to keep up with the larger player in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Lastly, tax saving would also greatly reduce cost of repatriated the 74 billion in overseas cash holding that Pfizer had accumulated. While Pfizer's 25% effective tax rate was higher than that of its peers, it was well below Pfizer's marginal US tax rate, which is 40%. One of the way that Pfizer keep tax lowest by avoiding repatriation of international profit. Okay, the third reason is because locked holding. One commonly used strategy to temporarily defer US taxation on profits was what was known as transfer pricing on the sale of goods and services between, for example, a US parent and its foreign subsidiary. Furthermore, transfer pricing balance differing jurisdiction requirement by moving a portion of a firm's operation into a foreign jurisdiction, so that the subsidiary could charge the US parent for the purchase of goods and services. Although transfer pricing often required substantive operational charges, for example, like opening an office or increasing headcount in foreign jurisdiction, it could also enable the company to shift profit to lower tax foreign subsidiary by having more income in the foreign country and more expenses in the United States. Besides, long-term investors may choose to lock their profit in order to maintain portfolio balances, to maintain an ideal portfolio allocation that minimizes risk that maximizes profits. The investor may lock in profits for the portion of the outperforming fund and redistributed the proceeds among the other four funds. That's all from me today. Thank you.